Imagine this. You wake up, no reason, no emergency, but your hand grabs the phone before your eyes even open. Scroll, laugh, forget. Scroll again. The day disappears, but the emptiness stays. Now stop. Let's be honest. Pleasure is a lie. You laughed at a TikTok. You ate junk food. Swiped right, hoping they'd feel different. But you still felt nothing. That scroll didn't feed you. That snack didn't satisfy you. That hookup didn't heal you. And this is why you still feel empty. Because you're not chasing joy. You're avoiding silence. You're numbing the parts of you that are begging to be heard. Every hit of fake pleasure, it keeps you comfortable, but kills your capacity for truth. Let me show you what's really going on. Carl Jung said every man has a shadow. That hidden part of you you've been running from. The wounds, the fear, the lust, the anger. The parts you stuffed down when nobody cared enough to ask how you were. But scripture had a name for it long before Jung did. It's the flesh, that war inside you. The sinful nature that craves comfort, power, lust, and lies to get it. And here's how it hides. You don't scroll because you're curious. You don't eat because you're hungry. You don't flirt because you love. You do it because you're avoiding pain. Because somewhere deep inside, there's a voice you don't want to hear. So you reach for pleasure, not to feel, but to forget. Let me ask you something. Look at your last 24 hours. How many choices healed you, and how many just helped you hide? Let's be real. Pleasure doesn't fix the pain. It just buries it. And no matter how deep you bury it, it's still there, waiting, bleeding, controlling your life in silence. The cravings keep coming, the guilt keeps growing, and the man you were called to be, he gets drowned in distraction. This is the enemy's playbook. Not chaos, not possession, just sedation. Make you comfortable enough to stop growing, distracted enough to never deal with your wounds, entertained enough to never hear God speak. But God doesn't meet you in sedation. He meets you in presence, in the silence you keep avoiding, in the fire that burns away the comfort and makes you confront who you really are. You were never made to stay numb. You were made to feel it, to face it, to fight it, to rise. Let's rewind. You're 6 years old. You fall, you cry, and someone says, "You're fine, stop crying, here, have a cookie." Or they hand you a screen, or turn on a cartoon. And just like that, your brain learns the rule. Feeling bad gets you nothing, but smiling, distracting yourself, that gets approval. So you adapt. You learn to smile when you're breaking, to laugh when you're anxious, to stay quiet when you're hurting. And it works. People like you more when you perform, so you keep performing. But here's the danger. That cookie became cocktails. That cartoon became Netflix. That screen became your sanctuary. You didn't just fake it for others. You started faking it for yourself. You buried your pain beneath performance. You replaced presence with distraction. You trained your body to run from silence like it was a threat. And now, years later, you're still doing it. The tools just got louder. Phone, food, porn, work, stimulation, all to keep you from one brutal truth. You never stopped bleeding. You just got better at hiding it. Here's what no one tells you. Pleasure has memory. Every time you used it to silence pain, your body took notes. You didn't scroll to learn. You didn't eat to nourish. You didn't flirt to connect. You did it to escape. And your nervous system remembered. You didn't just distract yourself. You rewired yourself. Now stillness feels like punishment. Silence feels like danger. And presence? It's unbearable. That's why you can't sit in a room alone without reaching for your phone. Why you need music in the shower. Why you check your notifications like it's oxygen. You're not weak. You're conditioned. You trained your body to chase stimulation. Because no one ever taught you how to sit in the presence of God. That's what Jung saw. Not that pleasure is evil, but that when misused, it becomes the enemy of your soul. And scripture backs it. The mind governed by the flesh is death, Not dramatic death. Slow, numb, comfortable, sedated. This is the war, not between good and bad feelings, but between running and returning. Because the enemy's goal isn't to make you rebel, it's to make you distract yourself into decay. Picture this. A man walks through the desert, thirsty, desperate, the sun beating down, his tongue like sandpaper, vision blurred, and in the distance, he sees a mirage. It looks real, so he runs. But when he gets there, it vanishes. So what does he do? He runs to the next one, and the next, and the next. That's how most men live. Chasing reels, chasing women, chasing highs, thinking, maybe this one will fix it. It never does, because pleasure without purpose is just a mirage. It looks like life, but it leaves you more dehydrated than before. And here's the tragedy. The more you chase it, the more real it feels, even when it keeps letting you down, because the lie is comforting. The next scroll will hit, the next girl will heal me, the next weekend will finally satisfy. But the truth, you're not starving for pleasure, you're starving for peace. And peace doesn't come through escape, it comes through presence, through stillness, through being real enough to stop running. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt guilty after pleasure? Not because it was evil, but because you knew it didn't feed you. You watched one more episode, texted someone you shouldn't have, bought something you didn't need, ate when you weren't hungry, and afterward, you didn't feel full, you didn't feel alive, you just felt hollow. Not ashamed, just untouched, unchanged, unfed. That's not weakness, that's awareness. A part of you knows, this isn't healing, it's hiding. And this is where most men get stuck. They confuse sedation with restoration, comfort with growth, emotion with transformation. But real shadow work? It's not edgy, it's not trendy, it's not about owning your darkness. It's about staring straight into the moment you betrayed yourself and saying, I see you, but I'm done running. I choose truth over escape, because pleasure won't save you, numbing won't make you whole, and the life God called you to live, it won't start until you stop using stimulation to silence your soul. Let me tell you the truth about someone. They couldn't stay single. One relationship ended, another began. Fast, intense, emotional chaos on repeat. They said, I just love hard. Nah. They just hated being alone. Every relationship wasn't about love. It was about escape. Escape from silence. Escape from stillness. Escape from the person in the mirror. They didn't want connection. They wanted anesthesia. Because when the room got quiet, so did the mask. And underneath it, emptiness, fear, unhealed wounds nobody else could fix. So they used people, used attention, used romance like a drug. High, crash, repeat. And they called it passion. But it was just pain, looking for a place to hide. Here's the part most won't admit. You can be addicted to love the same way you're addicted to lust. Not because you want intimacy, but because it helps you avoid yourself. And that's the trap. You think you're chasing love, but you're just running from loneliness. You don't want someone. You want relief. You don't want intimacy. You want insulation. And the worst part, you built your entire life around never being alone. And that's exactly why you've never been healed. Imagine your life as a house, and inside that house lives the real you, the wounded child, the buried truth, the ache you never had words for. But instead of walking in, you built a carnival out front. Music, noise, laughter, comfort, screens flashing, pleasure blaring, everything designed to keep you from opening that front door. And while you're out there, keeping busy, staying loud, your pain is still inside, bleeding, waiting. That's what unchecked pleasure does. It surrounds the house with distraction, so you never enter the room where healing begins. But hear this. God doesn't meet you at the party. He meets you in the silence, in the inner room, where the mask falls off, where the fake dies, where what's real finally breathes. That's what Jesus meant when he said, "Go into your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen." He wasn't talking about hiding. He was talking about facing the truth, alone, with God. But most men never go in, because silence feels like punishment. Stillness feels like exposure. And the longer you stay outside, the more normal the noise feels. The more you forget what your own soul sounds like. But healing? It starts when you walk through the silence, when you sit with the pain, when you say, "I'm here, I'm not hiding anymore." Because until you do, you'll keep partying around a house that's burning down from the inside and calling it peace. Let's make this clear. You are not free if you can't sit still. If you can't go 10 minutes without checking your phone, you're not in control. You're a slave dressed like a man. You've been lied to. Pleasure isn't freedom. It's a leash. And every time you chase it without purpose, you tighten the chain around your own neck. But here's the shift. You say no to that scroll. You delete that app. You sit in silence while your flesh starts screaming. That's not boring. That's war. That's your spirit waking up. Because every time you deny the flesh, you strengthen your soul. You stop performing. You stop reacting. You become dangerous. The devil can't control a man who doesn't need to be entertained. He can't seduce a man who finds power in stillness. He can't manipulate a man who doesn't chase the next hit. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That's not soft. That's power. That's a man who walks into the world already full, because he walks with the one who never runs out. You've been told pleasure is the goal, but here's the truth. Pleasure isn't the goal. Presence is. Because real pleasure isn't the scroll, the orgasm, the rush, or the applause. It's sitting in silence and being full. Not because you numbed the ache, but because you faced it and God met you there. Freedom isn't doing what you want. Freedom is not needing to. When a man becomes present, he becomes untouchable. The devil can't bait him. The world can't impress him. The noise can't distract him, because he's already full. The book of Psalms says, "In your presence there is fullness of joy." Not entertainment, not distraction, fullness. And that's the only kind of pleasure worth living for. If this wrecked you, good. That's what awakening feels like. It's not loud. It's not emotional. It's a quiet decision. No more sedation. No more escape. No more pretending. You were made for presence, for power, for truth. So if you're ready to kill the lie and walk in the fullness God created you for, subscribe and hit like. If this hit deep, drop it in the comments. I'll personally reply. Until next time.